Hello guys, I hope you all are doing good. I am Vaishali Khan and we are discussing the antennas in the wave propagation. Today in this video we are going to talk about the Dolf-Chebyshev array. So we have all talked about the phased array. There I told you we can change the direction of the output beam by changing the phase. Here also we can change the frequency and we can have some changes in the direction. Further, in the output we have many side lobes. Some of the side lobes will be having higher amplitude and some of the side lobes will be having the lower amplitude. Now I want to normalize all of the side lobes, and this I can do with the help of the Dolf-Chebyshev array. Right, the Chebyshev polynomial is a polynomial which is going to normalize my values in the interval -1 to 1. I am going to show you this with the help of the diagram as well, and I am going to show you how with the help of array factor I can normalize all of the values with the help of the Dolf-Chebyshev array and the Dolf-Chebyshev polynomial. So let's start our discussion. So Dolf-Chebyshev array will be having the uniform spacing of the elements, right? And when I have the uniform weight and the uniform spacing of the element, sometimes I will be having the unequal side lobe level, which is undesirable. What I want to lower the highest side lobe and I want to increase the lower side lobe. So let's suppose this is my main lobe, these are my two side lobes, and this is also my side lobes. So what I have done, I have decreased the highest side lobe, I have increased the lowest side lobe in such a manner that now the side lobes have normalized. All of them are having almost equal magnitude. So now all side lobes will be having equal magnitude. Now this method was given by Dolf in 1946 and he used the Chebyshev polynomial, and this is the reason it is called the Dolf-Chebyshev array, right? So it will be having the weight where side lobe level can be specified, right? I have to have the minimum possible null beam width with the help of this method. So this is desirable to have the minimum beam width. When the beam width is minimum, and I will be getting the directivity to be very high. So with the help of Dolf-Chebyshev array, I will be getting the best of the directivity. I hope you understood this. So the Chebyshev polynomial will be having the equal ripples of the peak magnitude in the range -1 to 1. So magnitude will be 1 in the range -1 to 1. So when I see the polynomial, you can see the graph from -1 to 1. Here I will be having the peak magnitude to be 1. Here also I will be having the peak magnitude to be 1. So here with the help of Dolf-Chebyshev array or with the help of Chebyshev polynomial, I have normalized to the point 1 in the range -1 to 1, right? So we will be having the equal ripples. The ripples would be there, but these ripples are equal. Now here instead of ripples I will be having the equal side lobes, right? So now this is how the Chebyshev polynomial will be looking like. So T naught Z, the first Chebyshev polynomial which is represented by T naught, it is represented by 1 only. Then the second polynomial T1Z is represented by Z, and then we have TMZ, any general polynomial of the order m, right? So T polynomial, the Chebyshev polynomial of the order m, this is the order. So it can be represented by 2Z Tm minus 1 into Z minus Tm minus 2 into Z. So here you can see we have the T1Z also. When I put here T naught Z is equal to 1, I will be getting the T1Z, right? So here because Tm minus 2Z was not there, so we cannot use it, and this is applicable for m is equal to 2, 3 and so on only. Here it is not applicable. If I put the Tm is equal to 1 over here, so here we will be getting 2Z T naught Z. So here I should get the 2Z, but here I am getting only Z, so which means it is applicable from m is equal to 2, 3 and so on. So when I will increase the order, then only this formula is the general formula is applicable to get the equal ripples. I hope you understood the Chebyshev polynomial. So the Chebyshev polynomial is used to match the array factor. We are going to see in detail the derivation to match the array factor as well, but let me tell you first that what is the condition. We have the symmetric elements, we have the symmetric array. What happens in the symmetric array? We have different elements, right? So we will be having some elements. This is my 0. So the element which is present at the location Dn will be having the same magnitude of the element which is located at the location minus Dn. So we will be having the elements at plus minus Dn. Always and always, if I have Dn, I will be having minus Dn element as well, right? And after that, if I have the element Dn and element minus Dn, both of them will be having same weight Wn. So we will be having uniform spacing as well in between all of the elements, and the center will be at 0 only. So this is called my symmetric distribution or symmetric array. Now coming to the array factor. For the odd array and for the even array, we know the array factor is represented by summation n is equal to 1 to m Wn. Wn is the weight e raised to power minus jk 2n minus 1 d by 2 cos theta. D is the distance between the two elements, n is the number of elements, plus summation n is equal to minus m to 1 Wn e raised to power minus jk 2n minus 1 d by 2 cos of theta. So this is the array factor representation for even array. Now for the odd array, we can have the array factor n is equal to minus m to m Wn e raised to power minus jk and d into cos of theta. Right, so here cos of theta, we know the formula of the cos of theta. Cos of theta can be represented as e raised to power j theta plus e raised to power minus j theta upon 2. Right, and now here we can substitute e raised to power minus j theta, e raised to power plus j theta, and we can represent the array factor in the terms of cos. Here the array factor is represented in the terms of e. So here we will be having e raised to power plus minus, and when I put n is equal to minus m, we will be having e raised to power plus m as well. So we can use this formula and I can represent it equal to cos of theta, right? So now array factor can be represented as n is equal to 1 to m Wn cos of 2n minus 1 into u. So here this is the representation for even array where u is equal to kd cos theta upon 2. Similarly for the odd array, we will be having array factor is equal to summation n is equal to 0 to m Wn cos 2n u. So you can see we have represented the cos, and now we know the formulas for cos. Cos 2u can be represented as 2 cos square u minus 1. So whenever I will be having here cos of 2u, I can represent it as 2 cos square u minus 1. Cos 3u can be represented as 4 cos cube u minus 3 cos of u. Cos 4u can be represented as 8 cos 4u minus 8 cos square u plus 1. So when I represent all of the cos terms here in their power form, so I will be getting a Chebyshev polynomial. So array factor can be represented in the terms of Chebyshev polynomial, and now we are choosing cos of u t naught to be t. When I represented cos of u t naught to be t, so now at that case I will be getting a polynomial only. Right, so all of the cos terms, cos square can be represented as t square, right? So this is how I can represent this full equation of the array factor in the terms of polynomial. So array factor will be having the polynomial equation which is matched to the Chebyshev polynomial, and this is how the array factor is matched to the Chebyshev polynomial, and this is how we are going to have the equalization, the normalization in the side lobe level. So you can see to determine the side lobe level, we can represent the t naught as cos h inverse s upon n minus 1, right? So n is the total number of elements over here. So this is the structure. So here you can see we have the structure of the Dolf-Chebyshev array. So these are the dipole antennas that we have. The dipole antennas are connected with the directional couplers and which are connected to the some load, this which is called the match terminations, the ZL or the match load. right? So now here we can find out the angle of output radiation also. The angle of output radiation phi can be given as C upon V plus M D upon lambda. So you can see angle of output radiation depends upon the frequency. C is the speed of light, V is the phase velocity, M is the mode, D is the distance between two antenna, and lambda is the operational wavelength. So this is how I can change the operational wavelength, and this is how, if I change the operational wavelength, I will get the angle of radiation to be different. So if I change the frequency, I will get the different angle of radiation, plus all of the side lobe levels are also normalized. So now what are the advantages? We don't require the switches over here, we don't require the moving parts over here, and we don't even require the phase shifter that was required in the phase array. So this structure becomes really simpler, and this is how I hope you understood the Dolf-Chebyshev array in detail. If you have any doubt regarding any of the concept in the Dolf-Chebyshev array, please put the doubt in the comment, and I will be trying to resolve your doubt as soon as possible. I hope you like this session. If you like it, please push the like button, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, and also do give me your feedback. Thank you so much.